Do you know how long it would take to do that with a hammer and chisel? At least 50 years. You wouldn't be able to, basically. Look at it. Apparently constructed without power tools. Apparently constructed without power tools. Do you believe that? This is ancient technology. This is etheric electromagnetic harvesting ancient technology. And the purpose of this is to harvest electromagnetic energy from the ether that's always there and utilize it, and nowadays supply it to your house, and then you pay for it. That's what this is for.
You have to see this. The builders of this place took a math equation that literally transforms vibration, it's called the Fourier transform, and turned it into a building. Don't believe me? I'll prove it to you. This is a synthesizer. I use it to make whoops. Those are whoops. Chichen Itza takes a sine wave and turns it into a square wave. You increase the semitones, or the pitch, by the same amount of levels in Chichen Itza. How about visually? Cymatic patterns show sound through a metal plate. They have an equation that can be converted into something that we can use to simulate those patterns. The peaks and the valleys show the shape of the sound. Other than making really cool graphics, we can also use this to reveal some hidden architecture and some really old stuff like Borobudur. The architecture is a mirror of the frequency. As we move up in frequency, the patterns get smoother and more complex. And within 100 hertz of that frequency that I just played, you get the architecture of Chichen Itza. Sonically and mathematically. Square waves are binary. You know what else is binary? Biology. If we use a pyramid to illustrate the sequence of biology, you get the binary sequence counting downwards. Counting diagonally, you get the golden ratio that links everything together proportionately. So how would this work? Well, you would take a seed and you would put it up in this chamber, which is exactly what the Mayans did, and then you'd wait till the feathered serpent returns to the ground. At this point, water does the rest of the heavy lifting, having the uncanny ability to reflect the flowers and fruits of which the products are. And if you're still skeptical, just remember that the most biodiverse region on the planet has the highest concentration of pyramids on the planet. This is temple technology, and I am Baseforge, and this is not the only example.
لماذا جعلوا الأرض كروية؟ احنا راح نتكلم في حدود معينة، وهو حدود العلم. إذا قلنا أن الأرض كروية، فالكرة معروفة حدودها ومعروفة قاراتها وخلاص محدودة. لكن عندما نقول أن الأرض عظيمة ممتدة وحدودنا التي علمنا هي هذه القارات، لكن هل هناك غيرنا؟ نعم، هناك غيرنا في هذه الأرض. الذي يسمونه القطب الجنوبي، لا يوجد شيء اسمه قطب جنوبي، بل هو جوانب الأرض. ما بعد الجليد توجد بوابة عظيمة جدا الدول العظمى على علم بها، والبوابة تطل على أرض أخرى هي حضارات أخرى، منها يأجوج ومأجوج. وللعلم البترول اللي هو النفط الخام، كرود أويل، اللي موجود في أراضينا هو أنهار عندهم، هو بالنسبة لهم أنهار تجري يدخل في تحت الأرض وفي باطن الأرض حتى يصل إلى أراضينا. ليس البترول هي بقايا حيوانات أو عظام أو ديناصورات من هالخرافات اللي الناس مصدقتها، ولا بقايا نباتات قديمة جدا. لا، البترول أنهار في أرضهم تجري حتى تدخل في باطن الأرض إلى أرضنا. واضح؟
Everybody already know what we about whenever we come around. Scriptures like the new J's, how the people lining up when they coming out. My Ock letting off the precepts like a 50 cal with 100 rounds. So if any demon try to sneak in and set up a stronghold, we gon' gun them down. And the savior like a new mayor, he finna run the town. Ain't it funny how it's coming down the rain? Gonna be like a heavy rain when it's coming down. Ain't he showing up unannounced? The clock is ticking, time is running out. It's only one way, making evil ones run away like a plane when it's on the ground. We know Satan on the prowl. You're shy of the big dog, he just puppy child in attack mode. And we arm strong like Satchmo. When the trumpet sound, I ride the beat like a hover round. And I swing my Bible like a sword unsheathed. You would think the enemy had a beak and some weird feet, how he ducking down. The curses shall be for a sign and a wonder to God's people trying to be in that number. Waking them up, now we dropping that heat, now we got a buzz like a bee in the summer. Beating the sheep who hunger, it was heard as it were, the noise of a thunder. When the Lamb opened one of the seals, the cords of the wicked shall be cut asunder. I was living like a sluggard, the Father woke me out of slumber and provided me a cover. Yeshaya, that's my big brother, skin like unto umber, with woolly hair, white teeth, and red eyes, no Scott Summers. Trying to fight against him, I wish a demon would, not lumber. I had to make some confessions like Usher and Flip Modes. Man, I was a buster. Now I'm trying to stack my treasures in heaven like ceramic plates when they in the cupboard. Long as I breathe, I can never leave, cause the Father pulled me out of the gutter. If and when I fall, I pray I bounce back like flubber. Everybody already know what we about whenever we come around. Scriptures like the new J's, how the people lining up when they coming out. My Ak letting off the precepts like a 50 cal with 100 rounds. So if any demon try to sneak in and set up a stronghold, we gon' gun them down.
Lax's family is expected back in court Monday to continue their fight for compensation for her immortal cells known as HeLa cells.
This family is having to fight against unprecedented circumstances.
Lax's cells were taken without her permission while she was being treated for cervical cancer at Johns Hopkins in 1951. When doctors biopsied her cancer cells, they realized instead of dying, her cells doubled every 20 to 24 hours. Her cells have played a critical role in several medical and cosmetic advancements. They were used to develop the polio vaccine and more recently, the COVID-19 vaccine. However, her family says they've never been compensated for Lax's medical contributions. In 2021, the family sued biotech company Thermo Fisher Scientific for using this.
Well, there are no documents. Not one single page of German wartime documents talks about gas chambers or killing people with gas. And there are people who say, but Irving, you don't expect to find any documents. The Nazis will have destroyed everything in the last weeks of the war. Well, somebody who says that is unfamiliar with the kind of chaos that exists even now in the German archives. If you go to the National Archives in Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington and see the captured German records there, they're still in disarray. The Germans, in the final weeks of chaos, would not have had time to meticulously go through every single file and folder and document, and even if every copy of that had been destroyed, there's always some Feldwebel, some corporal who writes a private diary, or who writes a letter home to Mummy in which he describes what they did that day. And those documents have turned up now in profusion, but there's nowhere in the private diaries or private letters of the Germans during those years, not a single reference explicitly to killing people in gas chambers. There's lots of references to ugly things being done to the Jews, but the gas chambers just don't survive in the archives.
We haven't done anything. We're a totally peaceful racist group. No.
So, what's up, y'all? So, we trying to get somebody out of prison. I got you. This is what you're going to do. First, you're going to get a standard Form 28 affidavits of individual surety. You got to get that first. Number two, you're going to get the power attorney form. You have to be the power attorney to do anything for a person that's in prison and sign his name off anything or her name. Number three, Form 90, release of lien on real property. Okay, exactly what it sounds like and exactly what it is. When you're in custody of them, you're a piece of property, but you're a real person, so you have to put in for a lien on real property, right? Number four, it's called optional Form 91, which is a release of personal property from escrow. So now you're releasing everything. You're releasing yourself, you're releasing your money, your debt, all that from escrow, and you're putting it on Front Street. Now you go into standards. So you got standard form 24, which is a bid bond. Now you got the bid bond. Now these bonds is gonna be crazy to you, but I'm gonna explain, I'm gonna show you. So listen when I say standard 24, this is number 5, y'all. Form 24 is a bid bond. It's not really hard to fill out, all this stuff is really simple. Number 6 is a performance bond, right? Number 7, 25A, is a payment bond. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna take it back. 6, 7, and 8. You got one bid bond, one performance bond, and you got one payment bond. All right. And then when you get to 8, you wanna make sure that you put a copy of your birth certificate along with the form 25A, and then you write across a copy of your birth certificate in red ink. Do not write around across the original copy. And then you get a copy of the document, right? And then it's time to play. So once all these things are completed, you're just sitting back waiting for the person you love to come walking out those gates, because you just bought their freedom back. They can act like they don't know what it is, but because if y'all don't think this is real, so in your paperwork they tell you what bonds you is. So this is my paperwork. So all I'm gonna do is go like this, right? For TikTok purposes. This is me, right? But then we're gonna go right here. Right up here. I don't know if y'all can see that. This says unsecured appearance bond is insufficient to reasonably assume the defendant appearance in court when required. The protection of safety of any other person in the community that the defendant will not obstruct or attempt to obstruct criminal justice proceeds, and therefore ordering the defendant released subject to non-monetary conditions. Release department from pretrial service recommendations. All right, this is what they get.